What up, y'all? I'm Kevin Curry, aka Fit Man Cook, and I am today's Man of the Hour.
Thank you for tuning into the Men of the Hour podcast. Justin Crawford here. I'm joined now by our Man of the Hour today, who's a very special chef, wellness expert, and all-around great guy. Kevin Curry is today's Man of the Hour. His online presence has grown exponentially to over 1 million followers, not just on Instagram, my friends, but someone who's just living online, really building an evolution around wellness and helping people to create a healthier and happier lifestyle. Kevin, it's good to have you right here on the Zoom call, right? Like I would like to pretend we're in a studio sometimes, Kev, but we're on a Zoom call, and I would rather not be with anybody else other than yourself. So thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Justin. What's up, bro?
Listen, bro, everything is up. We've entered a new year. I know that the hot topic for a lot of people is how the hell am I still going to continue to live my best, healthy, happy lifestyle, and continue to do it in a way that makes sense for me. And I was like, who else are we going to bring on other than Kevin Curry? But I want to start with you first. How are you, Fit Man Cook brand? How is everything overall going for you at the top of this particularly beautiful year is what I call it, because I think a lot of great things will be coming up. But for you, how is everything going?
You know, everything is going well. It was it's great to be out of 2020, just to be quite honest with you. And so I feel like it just was like a weight that was kind of lifted from my shoulders a little bit.
Yeah.
But the top of the year is always an interesting time for people that are in wellness, just because there's lots of buzz. Everyone's talking about it. You get lots of questions. There's so much interest. And for any wellness blogger, especially, in the food space, I always joke around with some of the new food bloggers in the wellness space, because they're like, oh no, people hate me, my content is not that great, because they're thinking about the time from October to December. There is like this massive nosedive in interest in healthier food, calorie conscious cooking and things like that. And I said, just wait, January, it's going to be a different story. People are going to be asking you questions again. And so it's always a fun time. And it's particularly fun too, because there's always some new diet trend or some new way of eating that people are just gravitating towards.
But why do you think that is to begin with, people that between October and the end of the year, which is last year, 2020, is it because the holidays are rolling around? They're scared to get fat?
Well, they're not scared to get fat per se. I would say that in colder months, people have become a lot more sedentary. And you're going to reach for things that are, that just make you feel good. You're not going to go outside as much, just because it doesn't make you feel as good. And so you're inside. Now last year was particularly different, just because we had been inside most of the year. But generally the trend is that when it gets colder, people just stop working out and they start to reach for things that make them feel good. And one of the things that makes people feel good right away is food. Now there's a myth to that, because the reality is the largest amount of serotonin is found in our guts. And that serotonin, it makes us feel good, it affects our mood, it makes us smile or happy or sad, depressed, and all that. So we reach for things really quickly to go ahead and give us that quick relief and that comfort, to make it feel like a hug. But the sad part about comfort food, that big myth, is that feeling of comfort and satisfaction almost immediately leaves us. And so afterwards, we're left with this feeling of feeling bloated and lethargic and sweaty, things that we don't really want. But just that moment, it's kind of like chasing a high. And so I think that's why around those months, people kind of just, tend to go and do that. And we look at the top of the year as a way to start over again. So so people in their mind are like, well, you know what? I only got 2 months. I'm gonna get back together in about 2 months. It's all right. It's all right. And so it's a cyclical thing. And I've always tried to tell my followers, listen, any day of the year can be your 100%. January 1st. Oh, yeah. You don't have to wait until then to do this.
Because you don't, right? There's no better day than today to start something, especially if it's going to be towards your mental health, your physical health. And to stay on the topic really quickly about trends and what people are starting to ask experts like yourself, in addition to what they should be putting in their body to feed that gut and to feel better, what are some other things people are having, coming up to you and asking with relation to food and kind of wanting to be the best version of their self, for example?
Yeah, I probably think the most common question now and still has been for the last 2 or 3 years has been, should I do the keto diet? And it reminds me of that big wave of the Atkins diet when that first pop into the scene. People are just,
Yeah.
like wanting to go ahead and do that. And I think it just stems from this. It stems from two things. People want quick relief from what we're doing. I mean, how they're feeling. And we live in a really instant gratification culture. Everything is instant. Social media is instant. The way that we send messages to each other is instant. Instagram, YouTube. If you want information, you can get it like that. And so we associate that those things too with our behavior. And so people are going to reach for things that's going to give them an instant relief, or they think that it's a quick problem. That's why you see all these programs. There's like 6 weeks to abs, 5-week burner. It's the so-and-so, beach diet, only 10 weeks. And so we'll put this time limit on there because we know that our attention span, you got to let people know, all right, just 10 weeks to go ahead and do this. Now that's one piece of it. I think the other piece is that, and this is maybe a rant or a gripe, is that I think that we have done a horrible job, particularly in the US, but I would say around the world, but really here in the US, about communicating what does health and wellness look like? What did that look like to people? And we have marketed as the bodybuilders and the fitness models. And so we inundate these photos. And the more we inundate these images to people, the more that they look at themselves as a deficiency and then say, I'm not like that. And so people are hurried trying to capture that image of what health and wellness is, when health and wellness is so much more than that. That's why I liked when a couple of years ago when Sports Illustrated started to do like their bodies image thing with like athletes, real athletes. And you notice that real athletes don't really look like those cover models,
Right.
but they're healthy. They got some rolls on them. They got some cellulite popping, but they're powerful in their field and what they're doing. And that, I think, is the closer look of what like realistic health and wellness could look like. But I think just because we're inundated with all these photos and images, people are constantly trying to chase that. And the more we see that on social media, the more it just underscores the fact that I'm not there yet. So I got to hurry up and get there.
Yeah, and then that's to your point about deficiency. I didn't even look at it that way. I think a lot of people would look at it, see a picture of someone really good looking or a bodybuilder, fitness model, and say, I want to be like that. But you're right. It might be the opposite most of the case, where they might say, I don't look like that, and that's where they're stuck, right?
Oh, yeah. You know what? You're right too. That's right too. But what I'm saying is that on that magazine, to be like, live your best life, be your best self, right? They don't put the image of the person, the regular Joe and Jane.
Yeah.
That they put the aesthetic people, like the chiseled bodybuilders and models. Which, if you really peel back the onion there and look at their diet and look at their lifestyle, it is not probably the most balanced. a lot of sacrifice. And I tell my followers and people that I work with, like one-on-one, when they're really, depressed about like where they are and they're not getting the same results. I was like, well, first off, you're chasing the image of somebody who's paid to look like that.
Yeah, that's a different story.
That's their 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So they're going to do what it takes, and they're going to sacrifice, and they're going to drink all this water each day. They're going to work out. They're going to diet, extreme dieting to look a certain way. That's what they're paid to go ahead and do. The average person, it's not like that.
Well, so then with relation to food now too, I was wanting to ask you this. I've always thought of food as medicine. That's me being Japanese. I was homegrown in Asia. Think that there's something else about if you treat food like medicine, you then have a different POV on it to where you can get results a lot faster if you just stay hyper focused on maybe it being a treatment to your plan, exercising or whatever that else that might look like for you mentally. But from your POV, what do you think? Food being medicine, and how have people kind of gone away from that as opposed to really trying to make it a thing in their lives?
Yeah, I think that you said that very well. I mean, food is medicine. It makes us, it can make us feel good. And also we're seeing now that food can also be a drug. It can be something that people are like addicted to that can make us not feel so good. And so I think that you see both sides of the coin there. Getting back there to this idea that food being medicine, that's what I mean. That's the challenge that I feel like I've maybe kind of like taken up to show that. I think in
Yeah.
other cultures it's much easier because it's cultural in a sense, and here our culture is a little bit different. You know, it's not a bad thing. It just we don't look at food that way. In certain cultures, you know, they do. Like, for instance, I'll go like, you know, in my culture, African American, growing up here in the South, you know, food and soul food was a way to show love to one another. And we basically taught the South how to cook, and so a lot of our foods are full in flavor, but they're high in saturated fats and simple carbs and things like that, because it was much more so focused on showing love to one another because of the just catastrophic circumstances in which, you know, African Americans were dealing with coming out of slavery and whatnot. So it was like our only relief is if we can cook you a meal to show some love that made you feel good. Now that over the years hasn't translated very well in terms of health and wellness, but culturally that's where it came from. And so how do we turn that switch? How do we, you know, make a departure into, you know, trying to look at food as medicine, but also knowing that, hey, listen, we know how to cook. Big Mama knows how to cook. My auntie can cook. My papa, you know, can cook now. Now we know all those things, but we just need to find out. Well, we need to teach each other how to do it much more in calorie conscious ways, because food also make us feel good afterwards, not just that initial bite, but after we eat a full meal.
And then almost thinking of it as a navigation to balancing your relationship with food. Even I wanted to bring that up now with, I mean, listen, everybody's relationship with food is so different. Everybody's relationship with fitness is different, which we'll get to in a little bit. Someone who's struggling with their relationship with food, right? They might eat too much, their portions. Listen, I struggle with portions. I think a lot of us do. It's like, I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat 2 plates, when realistically you should probably eat 1 and 1 should be enough. But do you have any best practices maybe for someone who's wanting to go in a better direction of their relationship with food and striving for that, this idea that they want to live healthier and happier because of what they're putting in their body?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to answer this question like this. So right now, I took up this task of, all right, Kev, you're going to do this triathlon this year. And I'm not the best swimmer at all. I'm not the best runner, but I can do cycling, but those other two is just like, whoa, my goodness. And one thing that my buddy was teaching me, because he's been in cross country, and so I go out and runs with him. And he says, oh, okay, the best thing, Kevin, that you can do is just slow down. Just slow down. And then I was talking to somebody and they were helping me out with my swimming technique. And he's like, yeah, you know, when you're out there, I know it's kind of hard and you get really tired, panic. But I tell you what, I've done several of these triathlons, and the best thing that you can do, just go slow. Just go slow. And it's so funny that they were telling me this, because that's something that I've told my followers over and over again. But here I am doing this triathlon, feeling super frustrated and defeated, not taking my own advice that is directly transferable to other areas. So my advice to that person who is trying to change their life and change those like behaviors is just to start slow, because we have a tendency, again, because we're in instantaneous culture. Hey, I want results on day one. So let me tell you what day one looks like. When you walk into that grocery store and you be like, this is my day, this is my year. And you see all them fresh foods and you start buying stuff. I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna eat that. And you take it home and you may have a bite of it and you're like, oh, this ain't the best. It's terrible, in fact. And then it turns into a science project in your fridge or in your pantry. All this dust is on bags of quinoa because somebody told you to buy it, right?
Yeah.
So don't try to overhaul everything on day one. What I like to do is just start very small. So what's one behavior that you know that you can get better at? If that's, hey, you know what? I drink too many sodas. All right, let's just work on that. Before we even touch food, let's just work on your soda intake and your water intake. And when you do things like that, it's kind of like a video game. Like, you'll get momentum and you'll feel good. You're like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't so hard. I can go to level 2 now because I learned this. I can go to level 3, and you get confidence, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you'll look back and you realize, yo, all these different changes that I made gradually,
Right.
I just transformed my entire lifestyle, my behavior, and wasn't realizing it. And the difference is this time it's sustainable because I've
Mm.
sustained it for all these months. I was just making small changes along the way. Whereas when you try to do everything at once, it's going to be a hit or miss, and most
Mm.
people miss.
Right. It's all about leveling up. Level up.
Yeah.
Level up. Level up. Come on,
Oh,
Sierra said it best.
yeah.
What
Really
about
got
right? What about food in relation to fitness? Are people coming to you and asking about food just as much as they are about fitness? And then in terms of the advice that you're having to relay to them, are the best practices the same? I mean, you mentioned starting slow, but are there some in fitness that might serve people better to get the results that they want while also thinking about the food they're going to put in their body?
Yeah, I'm working with somebody with a few people, on the side. And when it comes to fitness, it's a similar approach to it, starting small. But when
Sure.
it comes to fitness, I also really try to push people like the same way that I've been pushed myself.
Oh yeah.
So like, let's start with goals that actually scare you. So I know that 5K is something that you can quickly, oh yeah, I can do that. And I said, great. So let's do a marathon instead. That's our goal for the year. We're going to do a marathon. And then all of a sudden
Nice.
their eyes get big and they're like, it's so funny you mentioned that because um, it's something that I've been thinking about, but I didn't really want to say it out loud. Those are the things. So do things that actually stretch you, that actually really push you. And I like that because those types of goals require incremental goals along the
Mm.
way, and they require milestones along the way. So we have our goal over here to do the marathon. Your first race is not going to be that marathon. Your first race is probably going to be around the block, and then the
Mm.
5, and then the 10K, and then the half marathon, and all of a sudden you're ready for the marathon. So you're working your way through something, but you have your eyes set on that final goal.
Mm. Eye on the scary prize. That might be the
Uh-huh.
title of your episode. Kevin, that might
I
be
have
your
a
title.
scary prize. Hey, I like it. My mom always told us growing up, you got to dream big and think big. You
Mm.
know, and it's those things that actually get you up in the morning too.
Oh
So
yeah.
whenever you're feeling like everybody gets this, like will come to that moment where they start something and then they'll just wake up one day.
Right.
And it's not all at once, but it just seems like it's all at once. You just don't want to do it anymore, man. You just don't want to, like something that you really loved. You're like,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah. And you're like, dang, where'd that go? I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like eating this stuff. I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like maybe even doing a podcast. But maybe in your mind, you have this goal of where you want to be. So it's important that you think big and you put that up in front of you. So those moments when you're not feeling as motivated, you can remind yourself of why you're doing it and get yourself back into gear.
Could not have said it any better. Kevin Curry, Veggie Gang. Wait, I want to
Yeah.
get to Fit Men Cook in just a second, but I have to ask you, what do you think the scariest thing is that you've done since launching Fit Men Cook?
The scariest thing I've done since launching Fit Men Cook, probably what I'm doing right now. Um, Going into products and betting on myself. Now, listen,
Mm,
I'll bet on myself all day long.
sure.
I'll bet on myself all day long, but it's something that's different whenever you're spending your own money, you're going through your own loans, and doing that stuff.
Yeah.
It requires a different level of sacrifice. Um, and as much as I'm confident, you can't help but kind of feel like a little bit in the back of your mind, like, ooh, is this the right thing to go ahead and do? Ooh,
Mm,
and I also think like, what could I have been doing had I not like invested this money? Like, would I be in a different place? Would I
oh,
still
sure.
be here? And so I kind of, these are passing thoughts that I think about, like, am I missing out on something? But no, 'cause at the end of the day, again, I'm thinking big, and I want something for myself and for my brand and for other people in the world. Like, I want to share this out with other people that that it requires my discomfort right now,
Mm.
but the end goal, like when I get there, it's going to all be worth it, and that's what I have to remind myself of.
If that doesn't make you a man of the hour, I don't know what the hell does, Kevin.
You're
So
funny.
with Fit Men Cook, here I go saying Fit Men Talk because we're on a talk show, right? Podcast, Men of the Hour, Fit Men Cook. Where did this come from? What originated it? And ultimately, I would assume you had a huge mission in mind.
Not initially, no.
Mm.
What I'm doing right now is not the initial vision for the brand at all. I never saw myself quitting corporate America to do what I'm doing. It was not something that I was even thinking about. What I was trying to do, Justin, was quite frankly just lose some weight. And I was broke as a joke at the time and really couldn't afford a personal trainer. So I went to social media to see if I could, we all have like some side hustles. So my side hustle was like, let me start up this blog. Let me put up these little meals. Let me make them look good. And then when I share them out with people, I'm going to share everything, right?
Yeah.
And I made them look good because I didn't want to become like an internet meme. People being like, "Oh, what's that?"
What's he trying to do?
Exactly.
What's that supposed to look like? Does that taste
right? Right. So I was like, let me make it look good because I really want quality feedback from people that are maybe more seasoned out there in nutrition to tell me, Kev, that looks good, but try more of this and less of that, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a way for me to crowdsource my diet. And man, what I found out is there are so many more people out there who are just like me, who are wanting something different beyond just the humdrum of iceberg lettuce salad or chicken breast with brown rice and broccoli every single day. And I was just taking foods that I really like and deconstructing them to make them much more calorie conscious versions of themselves. And people like that approach.
Yeah, you said this at the beginning with your last name, Curry, right? Adding flavor, right? Adding a little spice to the table. It's creative first and foremost, so I got to commend you for that. But then to take a brand like this, and now you've already surpassed 1 million people just on Instagram alone, which to me, I love Instagram. It's the greatest platform right now on social. TikTok's trying it, but no, Reels came out anyway. But with Fit Men Cook, I could only imagine that's what people are really interested in. And you said it. Can I give all of the secret sauces literally to people who look at this dish or this meal or whatever I'm cooking and give them everything that they need to do it, but because it is a unique dish? So with this idea that you were creating meals that were so different than your normal chicken breast, spinach, and brown rice, creatively now with me, Kevin, how do you conceptualize like a dish and then turn it into this beautiful thing that we find on your IG and then be able to make ourselves?
Yeah, I haven't deviated from what I've been doing over the years. So one thing that served me very well was traveling and eating out. Now, when I eat out now, and when I travel now, I'm learning. So everything is just it's an experience. And so I even tell people who are losing weight or they're trying to lose weight, they're trying to get into the best shape. Oftentimes we'll make our diets so sanitized that there's no room for anything else. And that's because of all the anxiety there. Because you're thinking like, ooh, if I go back to eating out, if I do this, I think I may gain like all that weight back. And I get that. That's a real concern because I felt that way too. It sounds illogical when you say it like out loud, but I really genuinely feel it's like, dang, Kevin, you can't have this burger, bro, because you're gonna put that weight back on, be right back, and you just done all this work and yada yada. So, but the beauty of getting past that point is that if I'm eating a consistent, healthy diet, for me, I'm losing weight, I'm feeling good, incorporating other things. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna have a little treat today. I'm gonna go out to this restaurant. I'm gonna have this burger. And it's a part of my healthy, balanced lifestyle. Now I'm not depriving myself of those foods. So I'm losing, the anxiety of it. But also I'm getting inspiration. So I'll taste something and be like, yo, like this was really good. I wonder if I could make this myself, right, in a calorie conscious way.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And that's what I was doing. So my meal, my go-to being here in Texas was Mexican food. I'm a Mexican food connoisseur, but I'm Black, right? Yeah. So I would be going up there and getting like a little quesadilla platter. Go ahead. And and I was tearing it up. And I was like, kid, you can't do this every single day anymore. So I
Yeah.
said, but I want a quesadilla. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take this quesadilla. I'm going to break down all the ingredients for how to make it. How can I make healthy swaps in here for each one of these ingredients when possible? And that's what I did. I
Sure.
started to deconstruct recipes that way.
I love that. It's the healthy alternative that I think a lot
Yeah,
of people aren't successfully doing sometimes because they're picking the wrong ingredients. How do you pick the right ingredients? Say for a quesadilla, I
yeah.
would think I kind of like feta cheese, but I've also heard really bad things about it. So with a quesadilla, for example, could you break us down how you would build a healthier, more calorie conscious quesadilla, for example?
Yeah, you know what? I'll do one that is one of the top recipes on my blog, and I did this with Ginger Z from GMA,
We love
and
ginger.
Ginger Z is the homie. So she made it, and her kids. She said, "We make this weekly now, Kev. It's like a staple in the house. It's a
Bam.
black bean quesadilla." So we were taken out. So we got a quesadilla. We moved to a whole wheat quesadilla. If you're trying to do like lower carb, you can even get a lower carb one. But when I first did it, I made it with an Ezekiel bread tortilla, which was very interesting. I had to be, creative about how I could just get it malleable to go ahead and do that. But
Yep.
there are swaps for the quesadilla. And then instead of adding in a whole bunch of cheese, I said, the quesadilla is creamy because of the cheese. So how can I give it the essence of creaminess without loading in some saturated fats? Avocado is there. Avocado is a really good heart healthy fat.
Hmm.
And it's creamy in nature. So if I add just a little bit of cheese, but I can spread on some avocado, and all of a sudden I'm cutting out the saturated fat and giving myself something that is heart healthy. Now I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. So I didn't do meat on this one, but I did black beans.
Yep.
So what I made a quick refried black beans in the skillet, mashed them all up, and then put some water in there and cooked them up with some onions and things like that and olive oil. And it was a brilliant, really tasty black bean paste. Put the black bean paste in there, sauteed some bell peppers and onions together, the same way that you would like Chipotle. Put that on
Man.
the quesadilla, and then bam, I put it together, and it was just, oh, holy smokes, this is really, really good. First off, it just tastes good.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like the street truck quesadilla. It's not supposed to, but it tastes good, and it gives me the essence. It reminds me of the quesadilla. But the best thing about this quesadilla is that once I eat it, I'm not gonna feel bad afterwards. I'm not gonna feel that heaviness.
Right. And the grogginess. And you mentioned some people have like sweat and other things happening to them when they eat certain foods. Cause right.
I
Like
do.
that's what, because food does a lot more to you than you would think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
you're making me drool thinking about this quesadilla now. So I'm going to take this recording, I'm going to splice it up, turn that little snippet into another individual social clip, and I'm going to go find out how to make that myself and jump on the bandwagon with Ginger Z and the fam. Wait, so the Fit Cook, for example, with your products now. So now, I mean, listen, we're going to talk about food this whole time. I want to hear more about you, right, and the journey
Yeah.
as we wrap. But with the Fit Cook now, what products can we expect, and kind of how are they adding a little more spice to our meals, and what are some of the benefits you would say? Because I can only imagine you're so conscious about living a healthy and happy lifestyle. Your products have probably got to be all about it.
Yeah. So because of traveling and stuff, I started to get like a lot of inspiration. So one thing that I thought was low-hanging fruit was coming out with a spice system.
Mm.
And I like that idea just because I remember what I was trying to do when I first started out. And I was going to my mom, trying to ask my mom like what to do, because she was doing Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig's and different things like that. So
Oh,
I knew that
yeah.
she had some idea. And so she just told me, she was like, yeah, just go over there and get you some Mrs. Dash at the store. And if you ever had the Mrs. Dash seasoning, it tastes like death. It's like flavored cardboard. No offense to anyone who's working with Mrs. Dash. I'm pretty sure you're a wonderful person, but the product is not. Just kidding. No, I'm not. Okay, so it's void of flavor and
Right.
personality. So
Cardboard. Yeah.
yeah, and then if you're not really versed in the kitchen like me, like at that time, I didn't know how to pair spices together. So I wanted to make it easy for people to add flavor to their food,
Mm.
um, an easy and calorie conscious way. So I came up with this spice system. And there are 3 core blends. There is the everyday blend, which is basically you could put that on anything.
Everything.
It is, yeah, you could put that is herbs, it's onion powder, garlic powder, a little mustard, some other spices in there, proprietary stuff we just put in there.
Nice.
It's all natural ingredients, and so we ground that up so that way you can use it on everything. Me and my girlfriend, we watch movies and we'll put it onto our popcorn and then smoke the popcorn with a little smoking gun.
Stop.
It's such an easy spice that you can just incorporate,
I
easily.
love that. Yep.
And then the other one is a sea blend. So you can just imagine what that is. It's really citrus heavy, something that you would put on seafood. So whether you want to cook up some shrimp or whether you want to cook up some salmon, you put the sea blend on there. And all these you can mix and match. And then the other one is a land seasoning. So anything that is on the ground, even though birds are in the air, they may walk on the ground a little bit. So,
Come on.
so chicken, plants, and beef, anything like that, you put those on there.
Oh, that's nice.
And then we have 3 other specialty blends. One of them is a green chili lime, which tastes like Doritos, Sriracha blend, and a Southern Creole, which is a nod to my Southern heritage. We're coming out with one. I haven't even announced this yet. We're coming out with one pretty soon, hopefully in the spring. And that one's going to be a Thai coconut spice, which I love me some Thai food. First off, can we say this? I mean, everyone loves some Thai food.
Everybody loves Thai food. Oh, it's good. It's amazing. Nice.
And so the spice system, we put that out there. People really, really love it just because it makes cooking so much easier, takes out the guesswork, and it's fun and it's delicious. Low sodium. So people who are, who can't add as much of that,
right?
Yeah, it's fine. And I've always been that way too. Like people will criticize me, like, you don't season your food up. What they're talking about is a lot of salt and pepper.
Yeah.
The reason why, like, we tend to over season our food. So I tend to always do that stuff at the very end. Sometimes you have to do it like, as you go, but by and large, you can do that at the end. So that way you're kind of controlling a lot more. By the time you get your dish, if mama makes it, just like, man, well, mama, you were heavy handed on that salt, but thank you. It tastes great, but good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that one. And then last year we launched a line of wellness teas, and this is one.
That's why I'm coming. Going to the website right now.
Oh man, right. I'm telling you, I want you to. In fact, I'm gonna send you some after this podcast. If you just,
you do that, I'm gonna cry. Because I'm into teas right now, bro. Peppermint, chamomile. I'm trying at which point in my day,
Oh, I got you, bro. I got you. In fact, they're right here.
Insane. Show them off, please. Wait, this is amazing.
Yeah. So this is our wellness tea line right here. So these are the hot teas. And then we have some cold teas as well. We have a tropical hibiscus iced tea and a southern ginger peach tea, which people just have been crazy over because they really, it's, of course, there's no sugar, but it tastes like sugar just because the flavors are so good. And I'm going to send this to you because I want you to open up the box.
Okay.
Maybe just film yourself. Just open the box because these teas are so fragrant. These are loose leaf, so it's not like the ground up stuff that you would find.
Right.
There's like you can actually see.
Shut up! I love that.
But you know what I mean.
That means it's the real shit. Well, it kind of looked like weed. But
look like weed. But
some people listen to look like weed.
Yeah, so, but they're for different things. And so this one is for rest and recover. It's a lemongrass chamomile with rosemary and licorice root. This one is our immunity blend with tons of turmeric, ginger root, echinacea, black pepper, bergamot oil. And this is one of the top sellers. Everyone loves this one, especially right now with the weather. This is our soothing tea. Peppermint, ginger, cacao, licorice, and this is our energy and focus tea. This one actually has caffeine as well as this one over here. This is to get up and go in the morning. When I tell you this one will get you going, it has castor, cacao, coconut, and they're full flavor. So I'm proud of this line and I'm proud of this project because I wasn't always a tea drinker, but when I was traveling in Morocco, man, I had tea like 3 or 4 times a day. And
was it Moroccan tea? Moroccan tea is where it's at.
Moroccan tea, yeah. Now, granted, they were putting a whole thing of sugar in there.
Sugar, yes. Okay.
It was still hitting though. I still drank it. but it's
the
tea.
good stuff.
It's very calming. It's therapeutic.
Yes.
And I didn't know this, but my friend who does yoga, she was like, well, tea can be like a meditation, Kev. I said, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you make tea, there's a calming effect too that can take place, and you can look at it and watch it boil and
Yep.
things like that. So,
and you mentioned the smell too. If it is a stronger smell, that is very soothing. It's like you don't even have to go get in the eucalyptus steam room anymore, Kevin. You
right.
just gotta get one of your teas. I'm not kidding. It's about to be Christmas for me.
I'm gonna say this to you. I'm serious, and I want you to film yourself just opening them up, because that's one thing that people keep writing us about. Like, dang, the smell of these teas is like ridiculous, Kev. Like, these are real ingredients, so it's super fragrant. People love these, and so we're coming out with another one. I haven't even announced it to the followers yet, but Justin's the homie, everybody.
Listen.
So what?
We just got the exclusive. I want to reel it back really quickly too. If you're going to put out the whole Thai coconut, throw curry on that. If it's about to be a new launch, you got to put curry on the back of it.
We gonna put some curry. Well, I got something else for people too. Some other flavor. We are finalizing a flavor of tea that I designed. It's called the Sweet Tooth. It's highly flavored in like cinnamon. Okay. It tastes like sugar, but it's not. But it's with CBD, and it's for that after lunch. You're feeling like a little bit low. You need to chill out, or you're kind of stressed, or you just had a monster workout. Yep. So we've been experimenting with CBD infused products, and in some states, prayerfully, a little bit of the other stuff too. Because you gotta get your little, a little vibe
edge off.
You gotta
let the edge off, Kevin.
A little edgy, especially because 2020 is in effect. So you gotta knock that edge off a little bit. But I'm so proud of this one. So, and to your question about what scares me the most, it's things like this that I'm doing, that I'm really like putting myself out there with, that that I hope people will like, but at the end of the day, so far so good with the track record.
Brother, it's how we found you. Between Fit Men Cook, Ginger Z segment, the Fit Cook, these teas, right? Like, you have it. You have the package. Legitimately, the package is sitting on your desk right now for those who are listening to the podcast, not watching the video. But, you got the package. I think you have something special here, because you're creating a variety of opportunities for people to look at food differently, to season their foods differently. I'm not kidding about that Thai coconut. You should put curry on it. You don't have to put it in there, but you got to put your name on at least one of your products, right? Because your last name is it. I was sold by the last name. I was like, Curry, of course he's a cook, right? I love curry. No.
The Japanese curry, you said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So. Right. Japanese curry just has a different level of thickness to it. My mom used to put dark chocolate in it, and you can probably tell, like, that's what makes it thick. So
I have never had that like that. Now I am putting that on my Sunny style stuff, and I'm Japanese curry chocolate. I have these.
I've been like a Japanese stay-at-home mom traditional curry recipe. Ichiro, which is that famous Japanese baseball player, eats it twice a day, his mom's curry. But the way Japanese moms make it is it's like a thickness. You lay it over the rice, but it has like carrots and onions and potatoes and your beef, right?
I need to find me a Japanese mama to help me out.
My mom's coming back to the States this summer. I'll call you, right? And then
for
we'll
real,
get it worked out.
You're being funny. I will hop on Zoom. Mama, show me how to go and put this together. I am so serious.
A very good relationship we already have going, Kevin, buddy. I'll try to teach you. I won't cook. My mom will teach you some recipes from Japan. But everything we've covered today, my friend, from your expertise and your knowledge to the experiences you've had with clients, I had to ask you just a couple more questions from our team. Actually, they're super quick and fun, buddy. We wanted to know what your meal routine looks like, Kevin Curry, because when I look at you, not only from a fitness physique standpoint, but as someone who cooks nothing but great food that's good for your body and better for you, right? With this whole idea of living a healthier and happier life, which I'm going to tag as your slogan. What does your meal look like during the day? Meals look like during the day?
Yeah. So, okay. I'll be honest with people in that one of my biggest struggles is actually having an appetite. I struggle having an appetite. Yeah. And it's just gotten more pronounced like over the years. And so my routine that I followed years ago isn't exactly the same routine now. I think what's happened because I'm doing this triathlon training, like my appetite has picked up a little bit. So that actually helps out.
Yep.
But generally with my eating, I found the best success eating very small meals. And that's just because I struggle with having an appetite. And whenever I had the larger meals, and everybody is different. So you need to find out what works for you. I've done 3 meals a day and I've done 5 meals a day. I found my sweet spot eating several times a day, having small meals about every 2 to 3 hours. And my meals, like for instance, today, I had my triathlon training, so I was pretty hungry, and I had my go-to power bowl, and it's basically a little bit of brown rice. It's some roasted potatoes with some of our sriracha blend on there, some scrambled eggs, half of an avocado, and 1 Roman tomato. And I just mix everything together as one big like man bowl and eat and eat that. For lunch, it's generally something that's that's pretty light as well. Or actually, my next meal would probably be like a snack. I love just getting a whole wheat tortilla, a small one, putting a little bit of peanut butter on there, maybe a tablespoon of some honey or some agave, roll that sucker up, and then have that with a protein shake.
Wow.
And then, for lunch, it's something a little bit more hearty. So, my go-to in lunch would probably be salmon.
Oh yeah.
So, some baked salmon, flake that out with some quinoa or another grain. And then a vegetable that I love spinach. I think spinach is super high in vitamins and it's easier to eat. So for people like me who just don't have a big appetite, you can cook. You will actually eat 4 pounds of salmon within 1 scoop just because salmon wilts itself down so much.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'll have maybe like a piece of fruit or something, getting ready to go to the gym or to train. And then at nighttime is when I'll have something that just it's hearty, it's protein rich, but it's very lean. So one of my go-tos, man, for all these years is chili. You can make
we love chili.
Chili. In fact, if you set up the Zoom, with me and your mama, I'm gonna show her how I put chocolate in my chili.
I love that. Chocolate and chili and curry and chili. It must be like a stew soup thing where you put chocolate in it. I love it.
Yeah. And it makes it super thick and creamy. Right. And I'm not using the kind that's like all sweet. I'm actually using like real like cacao. So it's full of tons of like fiber and magnesium, antioxidants. So it just boosts the flavor too. And I'll have that over something like a cauliflower rice as a taper off today. My calories and then I'm good to go for the morning time. If I get hungry at nighttime, because hormonally, for some reason, my appetite kicks in after 9 p.m. That's just then I'm working with doctors on that to kind of see. And so maybe if anybody else out here kind of struggles with nighttime munchie, one thing that I've had to do in the interim as I work through this is besides just putting up my goals on my fridge, I'll make sure that my calorie dense go-tos aren't available right now. So I'm not buying a whole bunch of nut butters right now. But my fridge, it looks like the largest fruit salad in the world.
Nice.
I've got berries and mango and pineapple and apples and oranges and grapefruit. Yep. So when I want a snack, I'll just go in there and make a little fruit salad and I'll snack on that.
Dang. And then your cheat meal, you got a cheat meal. What's your go-to when you got to look at a day and say, dang, I'm going to eat whatever the hell I want?
Oh, I don't have a day, but I do have meals. So Whataburger is my go-to.
Yeah.
I love Whataburger and IHOP and stuff. And it's funny. Sometimes whenever sometimes when I'm really dieting down for something, maybe like a project or whatnot, and I have a free meal, everyone's like, oh, let's go to this restaurant here and let's go to that. I just like, I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to waste my good meal, waste my free meal
on something I'm not sure of.
Yeah, so I go to Whataburger, IHOP, Denny's, Waffle House. They'll always be able to get my business.
Right? Wait, I love that you said Denny's. No one ever mentions Denny's anymore. They only say IHOP and Waffle
Because
House.
they're pretentious.
Right.
Pretentious.
Denny's is where it's at. We had it in Japan too. And I was always telling my family, Denny's was great. And people are like, nah, you got to go to IHOP. And I was like, no, Denny's
No.
is great as well. Right. No, I'm glad you got the 3 options though. One might be closed one day, or, you might
Well,
be
that's
feeling
why
a
I
different
have
type of
them.
pancake.
Because sometimes, depending on where I am, I can't get to one. I was like, oh, I need to go over here. My little order real quick.
Throw Cracker Barrel on that list if you're
That's really funny. I'm not.
I love a Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel does have some good maple syrup too, bro.
That's the Tennessee soul in me. Cracker Barrel was where it's at when I was going between the States and Japan. My dad would always be like, hey, we're going to go drive to Florida, drive through Tennessee or whatever. We'd always stop at Cracker Barrel. It's like good comfort food.
It is.
Listen, and they didn't pay for that. Listen, they didn't pay me to say that shit. So with that said,
run that check, Cracker Barrel, run that check.
Kevin Curry, I've enjoyed the hell out of having you on this show, man. You're quite the expert, and I think you're onto something here when it comes to Fit Men Cook and the Fit Cook, everything you guys are launching. Listen, the products between the teas and the spices is something that I know a lot of people should be interested in. So in terms of website URL, so I don't mess it up, where's the website where, the Fit Cook is and where people can find their products?
It is thefitcook.com. Is thefitcook.com. Just go over there. You can also find it on my website, Fit Men Cook, but go to thefitcook.com. And if you're in Dallas, we just launched our freshly prepared meals. So people can actually get some meals delivered. So we just started off my journey into meal prep delivery and meal prep service. And so another thing that's scary and exciting, because food prep is it's a risky business.
Sure. But
we're trying
need it.
This out right now. Yeah.
People need it and they want it.
Yeah.
Kevin, he's here on Instagram too, my friends. Don't forget, we're on Instagram at Men of the Hour Podcast. But Kevin Curry, although you'd think it'd be Kevin Curry, right? At Kevin Curry, it's not. Okay. I'm going to spell it out for you. Fit Men Cook, FITMENCOOK. And then, of course, in his bio, you'll be able to find The Fit Cook, THEFIT. COOK. Think I won the spelling bee on that one, my friend. And for having your time, man, for the past hour. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see how this episode comes to life. I'm interested to see what I'm going to name it. So for everybody who's listening, I did not name it during the Zoom call, but I know we have a lot of great talking points that we've covered, Kevin, for your time, your energy, and for whatever you're about to send me. You can send me one little tea bag and I would be happy because I want to try it. It looks fantastic. For those of you who listened and didn't get to see it, be sure that we have the video episode on YouTube and on our website at menofthehourpodcast.com. Kevin Curry, it was great to see you, buddy. And I am actually going to really set up that call with you and my mother to cook some chili and curry in the coming months.
Look for it, y'all. Look for it. Appreciate you, Justin.
Bonus episode, my friends. Thank you again, Kevin.
All right, bro.